Kwekwe Kinawaya, Patsy Indigenous Cause, Nungo. I said, I'll be Patsy today. Mazzy, Mazinator.
Hey, John.
So, good day. I mean, Kwekwe.
Oh, yeah, click away.
Kinaway. Kwekwe Sandra, Minwatch Simon. So this will be an unconventional lesson for those of you that are used to Patsy, but that's okay. I did put out notice on Facebook that if, for those, because there's really a buzz online about treaty stuff, because there's Robinson Huron Treaty. So if you have any treaty questions, I'll answer you. So I was expecting a flood, but that's not the case. So, anyways, we have this new fridge magnet designed. That was designed by Carolyn Brown, I think. She's a citizen and a very talented, award-winning artist. I think she won an Emmy for some of her work. I think she's based in the United States. But this says it's not meaning so that's who we are. That's the Wet'suwet'en Language Commission. Literally, what that generally when you understand words in English, you'd look at them backwards. Like Timiaga Ming, Ming is the place of at the shore where the water is deep, deep water by the shore. We'll say that. Anishinaabe Mwen is the thing that is the language of the beings that were lowered. It could also mean kind beings or good looking, actually. So you could use that. That's us. It's not Penguin. And of course, Sagaswa Idwin. Win is like a makes it a noun, so it's the thing that it is talks about a reciprocal discussion going on back and forth. Sagaswa is referring to the smoke specifically from the burning of tobacco, because back in the day they used to at their council fires burn tobacco. That was Gaswaedwin would be used by lots of communities, referring to a council meeting or an assembly that they might be holding. So do demak, people translate to clans, but that really doesn't. None of these translations do our words justice. Do is like you could say, or perhaps you might say, do like I'm a teacher. Do this, so it's talking about us, but at the same time, do is like a constant, like mother, and is dodosh is the breast, so it's a nurturing type of notion. Ode is a fire, which the word for fire, ishkode, um, your heart is odehe, because you feel that heat there. So they recognize there's like a fire inside all of us. Ododem. And that M on the end means that it belongs to you. So you're saying you belong to it, it belongs to you. That's kind of a reference to who we are. In you know, in the historical record and from the oral history, uh the Dodem, your clan passes through your father's line in most cases, not all cases. So that doesn't, like a lot of folks that are in academics today hear something like that and assume that there's patriarchy going on, like men are in charge. That's not the case. It would be called patrilineal. The lineal descent is through the male in most cases. We know this from most of the elders that are talking to us about their clan, those of us that have records like we do that go back, can find his father, grandfather, great grandfathers, they're the same clan. All the grandmothers are different clans. Also in the records of the newcomers over a few centuries, place in of the chiefs they're talking to, they also have the clan uh, eh, of the chief that lived perhaps in the late 1600s, and then it kind of goes often down to in their sons and grandsons, and that's all on the record showing that. But there's also a couple of cases where there was a woman who was a chief down by Sarnia who actually her children received her clan. And nowadays it's because this system was kind of intentionally oppressed. You could argue outlawed in some ways. Uh, it had an impact on how people tracked that. Also, with settlers coming, and initially when they came in, they were integrated into the Anishinaabe communities through clan. We have cases of British carrying with them the Mijubiji clan, which is like a lion or a lynx, because they have symbology that was had the lion on their coat of arms. The French was Mabise is a rooster for the same reason, and recently it's because a bald eagle clan because of their use of that animal on their symbols or money and whatnot. Um, so there was cases like that. Of course, that would be early on when there was a few settlers coming in here and there. But it was impacted this system. So lots of folks today don't know their clan. I was told about clans as a kid. I was I'd come up to the lake in the summertime. The loons would gather, and my aunts would say that's our ancestors. And sometimes they'd actually name the individual ancestor. So I always seen myself as Loon Clan, although that's actually my grandmother's clan. So there that's a shift in the norm, you could say. Also, since the 1800s, because of folks not knowing their clan or losing it, often they'll go to elders to ask them to find out what clan they are, and they will be told what clan these elders see them as. So years ago, when they used to make agreements or treaties with the French and English, we didn't have like a letter writing system with a symbol representing a sound. Uh, we had pictographs, and when the chiefs and the clan folks first signed such documents, they would draw that picture like you see here. In fact, these pictures based on looking at a lot of these old documents from the 1600s to the early 1800s. Uh, the way the symbol was shown was fairly consistent. There was some like there's a classic one from early 1800s from just south of us in Nipissing. The caribou, the tick you see there was a letter written to the government seeking assistance, and they showed uh, the caribou with ribs showing on it, and that was to convey that people were hungry. Uh, Other times with the eagle, it might be shown coming into land, so showing that, or else just standing there looking. So it's kind of being watchful over the territory, or else is in a situation with allies. It could show that it's defending something, and that's usually the way that they were shown here is the most common way. So what I did was pull these up redo them a little bit neater, and then we had I think it was Katie Lerone who digitized them, these symbols. But so they're based on old drawings, and we have here the six clans that were here in Temagami in 1913. There's obviously a lot more clans today. Like my wife is Migaze Eagle clan. Um, so there's more clans that are part of Temagami, but we've had these on the old Temagami flag, and so just as a starting, we're showing these usual clans. Uh, Adik is the caribou. Ogi, that's the caribou is the hoof clan. I'll just tell a little bit about what the clans have. Like a lot of folks will say they have certain roles like health or education, but if you went way back, what it was it was tied to the characteristics of the particular animal that's the clan that people shared with that animal. Like uh, a tick is known as being very like social. It hangs around with a lot of other caribou, and folks in that clan have those types of social skills. Down below, Ogishkimanasi, they call that kingfisher. Ogishkimanasi actually means it makes a cutting sound. Geesh, the word geesh has to do with like a rock cut or sawing something. It's a cutting. Something's cut off. Gishbo, we're done. We're full. That means we've been eating. There it stops. The process stops. So you can see, well, if you see here in this symbol, or else if you look up a kingfi kingfisher picture on Google, you see it has a tuft head there, which shows that's part of leadership clan, and it's like a hummingbird. This bird, how it can hover in one spot and even reverse a little bit, which is kind of a skill that not many birds have. So with that, the assumption is this: they're very good at examining a situation going forward, in the present, and the past because they of their motion. That's supposed to be part of their skills. Mong is the loon clan. Mong has to do with the sound of the water surface. Uh, you can hear loons for miles in the summer if it's a calm evening. Their sound really travels. Uh, they appear to have like what we call, oh, I can't remember the word in the language, like wampum belt, the wampum around its neck. And that's a leadership clan. Also, it's generally regarded as internal leadership, like an internal chief. Ogishwansi, um, Jajak, Shagi, those are the crane or the blue heron. They're external chief clans to this area. So that was the role of the Hmong. I'd say most Temagami people today are probably that clan. Cog, just below that, that's porcupine. You can see that it naturally has quite a defensive capability, which is what the clan's known for. A lot of the Potts family are of that particular clan. And I think I told a story at the language camp of how the clan how the cog got its needles, cogway, those needles. Um, it's an Anabush story. Anabush seen this porcupine in the bush, and it was being bothered by a bear, and it was running away from it, and it ran into a thorn bush patch there at the bottom, and kind of grabbed the branches and held it around him, and the bear went to get it and got hurt and ran away, and so he kind of roughly peeled off some of those thorns. They were all white, and then used some clay and stuck it on himself there, and or he carried those branches with him as a little bit of defense, and Nana Bush was watching that, and he thought that was pretty cool, and said, how'd you come up with that? So he told him that story, and that's when Nannerbush helped him out with the clay and as a first part of, and then he did use his magic to transform him to what he is today. And so that defense was very effective against the bear. It's a longer story than that, but that's the gist of it. Up above, we see a Mick, a beaver clan. They're often around the French River. I want to say originally, but actually it's originally probably within the last 500 years that that clan was known for being based there. And the family Masabe, which came from down that area, brought that clan here in the around 1860. And that's Alex Matthias, who's still living out in his family area. That's his clan. And the beaver is known for, of course, with its tail giving a warning of something going on. And, they'll stand up and kind of monitor the area. And I think that's such a great example of what Alex Matthias is doing out there. He's the one that told us about this Métis camp and the the damage or the scope of the project, which was the Turner Road. So he's got his eyes and ears out there. Us, he literally calls us and tells us what's going on. So it's really representative of who he is, I think, that clan. Jishigwe is the rattlesnake. When you in the language, when you hear a sound repeated like jishi or way, whatever that sound is, it means that there's some continuous action. Jishi obviously is referring to the tail, like the rattling sound. A rattle is called jishigen, so it's the same thing. So this clan and the reptiles and fish clans are similar in they're considered what you say like the philosophers of the people because the snake, just like a fish, has this almost 360-degree vision. Everything below them they can see, everything above them they can see, in front of them, behind them, and so that's a skill that you have. So if there's a big issue, usually consult folks from that clan or a problem because they would be more likely to be able to figure out a resolution to that issue. So that's what that's about. Uh, any questions on this part? I think if there's other clans, if you want to know the name of, I could throw in some language too. I might say it is a language class, but I'm using English predominantly today.
So, so it hasn't been traced, Shishigwe clan to the Kanji family, correct?
Koji, I think this is the same family Heidi is there.
Yes, yes.
Owl's Peak. Uh, well, what we know is Kohoji's father, I believe, is Kapiwe with them. His father is Quichich, and this goes way they go way back. Bhutan's, I think, was the first guy, but we know that those older rattlesnake. So the the male line at least through would have been those are all guys there. Tokohoji would be rattlesnake. So it starts to kind of get a little folks weren't really following it after I mean they had the knowledge, the old timers that shared with Frank Speck in 1913. But I think even people born at that time, it wasn't, it was starting to lose its significance in the community. But so I don't know if he had any sons, just I know daughters from Ecology. But generally, like my assumption would be in the absence, I'm not saying this is the way to determine it, but in the absence of knowing about other clans to the line, then I would just go through that ancestry. I think that's the most likely. But there's ways people do it. Sometimes they'll skip to the female side to bring it down to today. There's a number of ways to determine that nowadays. It's not that strict, I would say. Maybe some folks it is, but not in our area.
Miigwech.
Mhm. So with that, this is kind of a continuation of this. For that, our language event we had on Bear Island over the March break, I had a map that Keemanan made up that with the colored one with the clans as they were at that time. You can see it. Dakimanan, our territory, is see, I should be saying Dakimanan actually, because it's our territory. And when I say Dakimanan, that means our territory, except for the person I'm talking to. But we've been writing it generally in Dakimanan most of the time over the last 30 years. We used to write Dakimanan, but anyways, that's the difference there. Kadaki, if you change that into a K, Dakimanan, that still means our land, but it means it's also including the people you're talking to. So when I'm talking to all you guys, I would say Dakimanan. So anyways, that's the dark blue line. This map is based on Frank Speck's work. You'll see some numbers in all these little territories, even outside Dakimanan. Because when he come around, he was visiting Matagami, Nipissing, North Temiskaming, Matachewan, also when talking to the people there, finding out where their grounds were, and he put them on a map. And actually, his boundaries that he drew based on what he was told from the elders, uh, they're not as detailed as inside the Kimanan because they didn't have satellite maps in 1911 or 13. So they didn't really have accurate maps is one thing, and so but I've included those families here just for interest. And Dakimanan, our elders about 50 years ago looked at Specs map and drew the actual territories in much greater detail based on what they knew. That's why you see it in Dakimanan's detailed boundaries. These boundaries generally are logical for people that live on the land in the sense that they follow waterways, creeks, rivers, uh, ranges of hills, swamps, and such, like they're natural boundaries in that sense, including Dakimanan. So, yeah, and those three families at the top, that's Matachewan outside Dakimanan. There's on the, I guess if you're looking at it like this on the right side of the map, is North Temiskaming families. Down at the bottom, there's one that's Shabogijik, McLeod family listed uh, down in Nipissing. There's also a Green Jishigwe family. That's they're relatives of the Green inside the Kimanan. That's whitefish, Adikomeg Shing. That's the whitefish lake band. And then the others on the side are Matagami bands, where we have folks like that Seville guy there is related to a lot of the Matagami people through the Maybu family. So the three colors I have in there, because this is from 1815 to 1855, there was three families, clan families I'm talking, because this is the distinction from our later maps after we've been influenced in by the concept of a family Western style, like with the church and all. Things changed a bit, but this older map is how we would have. These are clan families. All these people in these areas were of the same clan. Generally, you'd have, you know, someone that's in charge of determining where families are going to be based in the winter months, and they would they'd be, I guess you could call them like a family head or proprietor of the ground. Usually, an older person that was very familiar with the whole area, and different families would they generally would rotate so that they're taking in quarters. They take they hunt and trap off in the winter season off of an area, move around in four quarters, and there'd be often a bank in the middle that they wouldn't touch. So if there was hard times come, food became scarce, then they would go and hunt in that area. So it was a pretty good system that way. So we have just the three clans in 1815 in Temagami, Dekimanan to about 1855, maybe 1860. Ogishkamanasi up there on the north left of the map. Jishigwe, see that includes all the cat descendants and Jobsons and Mariah Potts's family there on North Tem, and Loon clan Mong is to the bottom, and that's the way it was. The 1815 is about as far as you can go in the historical period. Just throw something like this with a high degree of confidence that it's accurate. You can go back further, and there was French records that went back further. A lot of them were burnt, and the problem is they're hard to read for a guy like me. You need someone that's skilled with French. So in 1860-ish, we have a Daki-Manan map of 1870. Well, let's start with 1815 first. This is 1815, but the one with the names, I think you showed a glimpse of it there, Heidi.
Cutting out a little bit there, John.
Okay,
Every once in a while you go muffled.
you must have went too fast there too. This map shows the names of the individuals that were in these areas in 1815. So Ichishusukwe, that's like the father of Jequinigan, and okay, Jequinigan was the son. He might have had more kids, but Jequinigan had the whole territory. Uh, Died an old man, Jequinigan, and so out of there you have a lot of the Paul family is descendant from them. Just down below is also Kingfisher. Mazanasolwe is the father of Ayandakwe, who I don't know for sure, but we can it's kind of implied that they're related because they're the same clan. They're Kingfisher clan. Houtons is one fellow. He's the ancestor of everybody that we've been talking about in the rattlesnake clan. Uh, that was what the French records called him. I'm kind of not sure what they're saying there, but that's what he's referred to in the French records and on our genealogy family trees. Down below you have Wabaku, that's means polar bear. Uh, Sometimes you see the word Wabi Makwa, but actually that means like an albino black bear. And we know this is different because the word Makwa refers to waking up, like from a hibernation, and polar bears don't have time for that nonsense. So they don't hibernate. So Wabaku is a polar bear. That's what it was translated to white bear in the English records. Mishakwan is means clear sky, blue sky, nice day anyway. And that's the father of Nibanagwani, who was the chief in 1850. So those are the guys that make up the three clans and their families at that time. The population it could have been as low as 50 at that time. Uh, you might have heard of the smallpox thing the British did around 1864. I'm sorry, 1764. And that was true. We know that the communities on the Great Lakes were decimated upwards of 90%. And that likely happened with us here. So Donald Mackenzie said he had heard there was about 700 people living on the Kimanan before those times. And if you lose 90%, you're down around 70 to 50 people coming into this point. Now, I've seen Simon with his hand up. It's not there anymore. Does he have a question, Jim?
I was curious about, I thought Mukwa means bear. It doesn't mean bear, it means hibernation.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying about the language. We'll translate it as bear, right? And that's true. But like all our words, it's not fair to translate it just to the English word bear, because that means like Nishnabemon is just a code of English. Makwa has a meaning itself. Makwa is like, "Ah," like so that's what the word for bear or black bear. Makwa is actually black bear if you want to be but what doesn't have the word black in it, and it doesn't really say bear. It's referring to the characteristics of that particular animal. Just like trouts, different trout, they're not all called trout. They have different words to what they do. Like Nemegus is lake trout, like in Lake Temagami. Neme is actually on its own is the word for sturgeon. What's common with the and Neme bin is a sucker. What's common with those three fish? They all hang around near the bottom of the lake. Namahe is under. The sturgeon and the sucker, they both eat off the bottom there, and the lake trout hangs out deep. So it tells you something. The words in our language will tell you something about the animal. So if you understand, I don't like to teach the language as a code of English. I always go into what the words are talking about. And then you get to know these little parts, components of a word, like uh, KIZ, Kiz talks about heat. You know the word for sun? He's is, Kiz, it's in there, eh? Or a gun, Bosch Kizigun. So it's talking about an explosion with it's triggered by heat, you know, or a Japkizigun is a stove, a cooking stove. So you see that word in there. So once you get to figure those little sounds, it'll be helpful in when you hear something you don't know. If you know some of the sounds and you put them together, you can almost figure out what folks are saying with words that you've never heard before in your life, because that's called a polysynthetic language. I think there's only three of them in the world, they say. Nishnabemwen or Algonquin languages are one of them. We have sounds that convey meaning, and it's all put together. You put those sounds together. That's why you can put those sounds on different sides of a word, and people will still understand what someone's saying in the language from all over the place, even though they've never heard it like that. Like fluent speakers, it's impressive. So I don't know if that answer is long enough for your question, but
No,
I
that
think
was
I'll cut her
great.
off there.
No, we good.
Okay. So 1850, we don't have to do the 1850, 1870 in terms of the clans. We could show, well, that's the 1870, that's the individuals. You can see now with the exception of Masabe, which is right in the middle, all of these individuals are descendants from the earlier map. These are uh, these are children, grandchildren, and even great grandchildren. In some cases, like Kohoji is a great grandchild of Putan. So they're marked as using these territories. Masabe, like old Masabe, they call him. He used to trap around the Don River in Toronto. Uh, it just around the time of after the War of 1812, when Toronto had like 800 people. And then it kind of started to get overpopulated. It was like 5,000 people. I mean, that's crazy. No Anishinaabe wanted to live around. So he moved up north. He was based around Parry Sound, and then he ended up coming up here to Temagami, and he married one of Kekek's uh, daughters. So Kekek is part of that rattlesnake clan. Of course, Masabi brought Beaver clan with them, so all their kids became Beaver clan. So that was the first change, at least in the historical period, of new clan coming, like introduced. It's more likely the case returning because, like I say, our histories. I'm talking the last 250 years, not even 200 and a bit years, when our history is probably about 7,000. So, a lot happened that I'm not referring to in the older days. So that's the way the individuals were dispersed at that time. A lot of these folks are brothers to each other, almost in every case. There's an adopted brother, perhaps, but they're still brothers. If you take a look at the other 1870 map that that shows the clans, did I send you that one? There it is. Okay, now this is the same time period. The only thing is this shows the clans. It doesn't show the individuals that are holding the same clan. Like if there's in Jishigwe, if there's four brothers and a couple of first cousins, they're all the same clan, so it just shows where the clan families were at this time. And it offers another way of looking Dakimanan through time. And I think it's important to show that because we're very locked into the Western notion of what a family is, and to see the families as we understand families, which is Dodem, a clan, uh, on different parts of the territory, I think helps to fill in the picture a little bit more. Lastly, you could put up that colored map from the office, the lands and resources. They're they're digitizing some of these maps in good ways. Now, this is not the final draft. This really is Specs map. This is the one that we're mostly familiar with. It was used during the land claim. All the people that are named on there were the names given to Spec. It's important to understand, and when Spec was here in 1913, he was asking people not where they're trapping at the time. He was saying, in the time of your grandparents, who were they and where were their grounds? He was trying to establish an older order that would predate interference from settlers. I suspect that's what he was onto. But of course, if you ask someone the time of their grandparents, depending who you ask, you could give chronologically quite a different answer. Like your grandparent might be 1870s, while other guy's 1830s. And actually, that's what happened with Speck's map here, because some of these individuals, and we know when they were born and when they passed away, some of them are like 12 years old, while other guys are like 83. So it's unlikely that the grounds are accurate, the people named on the grounds are accurate, but if you're looking at this as a snapshot in time, it probably wasn't accurate. Like Jaquinigan up in the top left, beside them Pawagadakwe, that's his son, Pawagadakwe. Uh, Pawagadakwe didn't have his own ground in 1850. He wasn't old enough for that. So in fact, his father would have had the whole ground. So that would be one little change, for example, if we wanted to make it more accurate. So if there's am I over time here? No, I'm supposed to go right into a Kahoot, eh? We better to go into Kahoot. I was going to say, does anyone had any questions?
You got some time. It's 7:10 now. I would give the Kahoot 10 minutes.
I
Yeah.
have a question.
I got time.
My grandpa told me I was Porcupine Clan. Where is that on this map we're looking at? Like, where's the traditional territories for Porcupine
Well,
Clan?
well, first of all, this map, like I say, is that anthropologist Spec, and he, like as I say, he was asking the people in 1913 at the time of their grandparents. The Potts family, there were kids that come around, I would say 1895. So they wouldn't have been that old when Spec was in. But at any rate, um, Fred Potts, who's your grandfather's grandfather, there was a number of kids because I think they were young and their parents passed away, and so they were raised by my great grandmother. Oh, I think she raised Maggie. It's the girl who was uh, she ended up marrying a Petra family, and oh look, there's Patsy. And there was Sophie Potts, who was raised by the Friday family. And there was Fred Potts was raised by Big Paul, the Paul family. Now the Pauls were based up, that's Kingfisher clan. They were based up were in the red in that map, the middle part of that red area. And he was there with his uncle Drew Quinnigan, who I mentioned earlier, at Stull Lake until the old man died. He was blind, so Big Paul was taking care of him for many years. And then he come down and around Iron Lake area, South Iron Lake, well, Austin Bay, we'll call it Austin Bay areas, just south of Austin Bay. And he started, he took over that ground, which was, you would see in the bottom left, Shumshashkiwe's ground. Shumshashkiwe had no children. He was a legendary trapper. All the stories, he was like the best, like the high-end elite trapper of the people. And he lived and he trapped into his 80s. And then Big Paul moved down there. Now, Big Paul had his son Alec Paul. That's like Mike Paul's grandfather. But he also raised Joe Friday, and he raised Fred Potts. So those three guys are kind of like brothers, and they were using that territory. It's kind of Joe Friday down at the south end of Lake Temagami. Fred Potts, yeah, and Alec Paul were all down there. So that's where the Cog clan, you could say, that's where they were trapping. That's the land base they were trapping. The use of the territories for trapping in itself started to change. Like in my great grandparents started doing tourism business, for example. So there wasn't. My grandfather did have a ground for a while, but I mean that the reality of our economy, I guess, was changing to. Plus, there was a lot of incursion by settlers on our territory, so it really impacted things more recently. In the 20th century, it kind of even native people from Nipissing were coming up because they had pressure on their land by non-native trappers, so they had to move forward. It was a terrible mess, terrible mess in that period. But your grandfather and certainly Gary, the older ones in the family would recall their dad Philip being based down there, and which is around I guess this is the number 22. That's about the area of Dekimanan where Potts family was based in the 20th century. And then, in 1939, I think it was, Ontario imposed trapping ground licensing, and it didn't mean that person would be based where their ancestral family was. They could end up someplace else because the settler has that ground. So it really threw a mess into the system. It's hard, you can't really track it. People are trapping in anyone else's grounds wherever the government will permit them at that time. So generally, we're looking at an older system here, but yeah, there's more recent families: Turners, Beckers, Fridays, Potts, Moores, and Petras that have. They had some of the families had grounds that I show. I don't have a map here, but I made a 1930 map. You know, that's about as far as you can go towards like 100 years ago to where our system was still holding sway on Dekimanan. So it was interesting to see a map with some of those more recent families. But the ones I'm showing here today, that's all early 1800 stuff. So it wouldn't have the more recent families. Mind you, I'm just talking male side there because, talking about Philip Potts. There's a mother, yeah, a mother and there's other, you could have be descended from other ancestors that were in other territories. That's usually the case. Okay, so we do a quick Kahoot because I'm running on. I think I'm supposed to be done now, but I know. And what's this for? $1,000 price? No. Okay.
So the Kahoot is just for fun, but Patsy does like to do a draw, and I see that on her agenda, so we'll do that right after. Let's get this Kahoot going.
Okay. Okay, so I gotta read this Kahoot I've never seen before. I think she just made this up today. So I'll try. Hey, you guys got a dog?
Yes,
Looks like a nice dog.
this is Buddy. He is a pain in the butt.
He
Buddy.
sings. He sings, I bet it.
Yeah.
I,
Oh, he's
sure
not.
does.
He's a puppy too, eh? He's not very old. Still
Well,
playing
not
around
no
with that.
better, if you ask me.
Hmm.
Okay, here we go.
It's like daddy's dog.
There you go. Waiting for players. The game pin is on the top. I guess you guys are all professional at this game by now.
Not too bad, I think.
Nazi, we will call him Wawash. No, Wagush. Fox. Wagush. Simon Aki. Looks like a globe. Earth. Oh, and Pakakwas. Okay, so that's everyone, unless Shawnee's on there. Sean's not signing off.
I was gonna put you on.
okay, well, whatever.
Okay.
You get me set up here. Buddy, okay.
Okay, we gotta do some language stuff here tonight, so here we go.
Okay.
All right.
Buddy.
TFN Community Session, March 21st. Nisan, Nijin, Bejik. March Tada. If you were Beaver Clan, which would you be? Ogishkamansi, red, Mong, blue, Atik, yellow, or a Mick, green?
it's the Mick. Yeah. Oh, shoot.
I think I heard you. You're trying to mislead people. It's not working
I
clearly.
got it wrong.
So a Mick is correct. Very good start.
Damn it.
Ooh, the Mazinator at the top of the board. Okay, here we go. Last month was Kakajish Gizes. What is the month? Kakajish Gizes red. Kenozatuch Gizes blue. Niki Gizes yellow. And Nickel Gizes green. I think she was supposed to say February was last month in English. Yes. But she gave you the answer and everyone, oh, not everyone took advantage of it. Okay, so be it. Kakajish, that's the groundhog month. Okie dokie.
Hey, buddy.
If you live on the homelands of the Timiagama Nishnabek, what is this place called? Dakimanan, red. North Island, blue. Tamagami, yellow. Whoa, everyone's answered. Dakimanan, everyone has got that correct. Who, if you press it, your answer faster, you get more points, I should mention. So, okay, it's getting pretty close. On Dakimanan, we say kwe kwe for a greeting. What is another greeting that could be used? Bonjour, red. Anin, blue. Ani, yellow. Or hello. These are all correct answers. It didn't matter what you put in. They're all correct answers. Ani, anin,
What's the
bonjour.
what's the difference
Hello.
between ani and anin? Or is it just like
Anin,
really?
I would almost think it's location. Anin is Nipissing. Ani would be like Wikwimacong. Sometimes they put an N on there, so you hear Anin. But you know what I heard was it's a way, they used to give a greeting asking if you were Nanabush, because Nanabush was a trickster. He could change form all the time. So if you meet someone new, they say that's Bonjour, but that comes from Nanabujo. It's almost like we broke that word. Anina Bojo. You broke it in half. Now because some people say Bojo. But I like the Kwe Kwe thing. Kwe Kwe is like saying I'm here, but it's a beautiful word. We won't get into that. Let's go on to the next question.
Hey, we're not muted.
Buddy. No more, buddy. No more.
True or false question? John's Anishinaabe name is Matiganabe. Is that true, blue, or false, red? It is true. Matiganabe. That's a wood being or tree being, that means. So that's cool. Very good. Everyone got that. Let's see the score here. Any changes on the board? Not really. Okay, we got a couple more questions left, I'm sure. Oh. Okay. Nui minekwe dot means
You're
I
hungry?
am hungry, red. I am thirsty, blue. I am happy, yellow. Or I want a drink, green. Yes, there's two correct answers. I want a drink. I am thirsty. That's nui minekwe. And I'm hungry would be nui wisine or yeah, nui wisin. I'm hungry. I want to eat. Or nabakadena, they say bakade means I'm starving. What Tamagaming and Anishinaabe Ododem clan is this fellow? Red, Kawin. Blue, At O. Yellow is Ogishkamanzi. Or green, Mong. What? I don't think that's the right answers. I don't like this question. What clan is this one? That was a cog.
Porcupine.
I don't see cog as an option here.
Yeah.
I wonder if she wrote Kawin. Yeah, she must have wrote Kawin. Okay, Patsy made this up real fast today, and I appreciate her doing this. But when you do things fast, it's susceptible to error. So it's COG, Kaag. That was the intention. So luckily, no one got it right, so it really doesn't affect the score. Okay. Next. How much Andi Minik Bejik Shij Bejik? That's what Andi Minik means. How much? Basic Shij Basic, is that 1, red, 2, blue, 3, yellow, or 4, green? Basic Shij Basic. 1 plus 1 does in fact equal 2, and one person got that correct. 1 and 1, Basic Shij Basic, that's what that is. How much? 1, 1, 1. So we see a big rush here at the end. Oh, it's a close game. A couple more questions. Let's go. How many clans are depicted on here? On that. Nanin, red. Niwin, blue. Swatsin, yellow. Or Ngudwachin, green. She's asking a number question. Most people got that right. Ngudwachin is 6. That is correct. Swatchin is 7. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay. What are we on now? 2 more questions. True or false? Patsy Kinuma ge kweda. Okay. Is that true or false? True, blue, red, false. Okay, yes, she is. I guess that's a statement she's saying. That would be correct, because when I'm reading it, it doesn't sound right coming from me, but you know what it meant.
What did
Okay,
I honestly just guessed that.
I am a teacher woman,
Oh,
Patsy. See, because she says da and thou, that's like I am. Patsy Kinuma kwe. Anyways, that's like she's saying it. I'm Patsy, the teacher woman. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's it.
That's
Oh, I
her.
want to do another one. Okay, there you go. The final champion,
Done.
Simon,
Right
pulls it out
on.
at the end. Is it very impressive?
Way to
So
go,
that's it.
Simon.
That's the end of it. Chimi Gwachikinawaya.
Oh, wait, we gotta do a draw. Wait.
Okay, there's a draw coming. I just want to say that. That's thank you for coming. Onagashig this evening. Okay, a draw. This is for the big money, or
Yeah.
we have money in our budget? Oh my God.
screen. I put you on there too.
No, that's okay.
Okay, shuffle.
Again?
Right on, Matt.
You're there, boy.
Ooh, thank you, Miigwech.
Right on.
Individual.
Miigwech, that was a good history lesson. Thank you.
Okay,
Jimmy
yes, we'll do this once in a while.
Need glitch.
Miigwech.
Okay.
Amen.
Good.
Bama Beach.
Have a wonderful night, everyone.